What?
Okay, now where are we?
Oh, we don't want this house first. Sorry. This
Oh.
is the second house.
Okay, where are we going first?
Down to this.
Loretta,
What?
you go ahead and tell him how you remember.
Okay, come on down here. What, you want me to?
Just tell me whatever you want to.
Let's let this car get by. Okay, this is the house where I was born, and this is Lark Street, but it's 3620 now, but I'm not sure if we even had a house number at that time. But this is where I lived until I probably was maybe 4 or 5.
And who are you?
I am Alice Loretta Mott. Oh, Franklin.
Franklin
Mott.
at the time.
Yeah, Franklin.
And okay, as we pan over here, I notice there's a steep bank, like a wall. What is that?
That is the flood wall. But at one time there were houses all the way down this side and a pond down here at the end. But that all disappeared when they built the flood
Now,
wall.
was the flood wall there?
No, not when I was here.
Could you
It
see
was
the?
built after the 37 flood.
Could you see the river
No.
from the house?
No,
Okay.
no, you couldn't see the river. There were houses all along here.
So we're in Catlettsburg, Kentucky, right?
Right, we're in
Or, no.
Catlettsburg, Kentucky. Right,
And down here in Lark Street. And this is the house
Yeah.
where you were born.
yeah. And then Mrs. Lambert lived in this little house, and we lived in this little house, and the Lamberts lived in the bigger house next door, and we traded houses.
Now I can hear the train there in the background.
I
Was
always
that
heard that.
That was a common
Common
background
and
noise.
I would lay in my bedroom in this house and count the cars on the train.
And this house is the next one that you lived in.
Yes.
Well, that was a big move.
That was
One
a
house
big
over.
Yeah, big, long distance. And it's 3616. But I lived here until 1939. And after the 37 flood, which was in the upstairs of this house,
Uh-huh.
and my mother said she wasn't living there anymore. She wanted to move where we would never have our house flooded again. But of course, the flood wall wasn't there at that time.
So Hurricane Katrina hadn't hit yet. It was floods back then.
That's right.
But it happened once and you learned.
Yes, and we moved. And I was, let's see, how old was I? I was probably 15, I think, when we moved over in 39. I see, 23, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. Yeah, I was almost 16. I was 15 when we moved.
Anything else that you recall?
Oh, well,
Okay.
lots of
Well,
things.
I'll just follow you, and you probably.
let's get, but this, when we first moved into this house, the front porch was an L shape, and this large room on the right of the house was not there. My dad built that, and he built it before the 37 flood, but then had to restore the whole interior of this house after the 37 flood. But he added this porch and the living room and a dining room to this house.
Now, why the move from one house to the next when they were side by side?
Because we had, let's see, Paul and Loretta and Junior, Mother was probably expecting her 5th child.
Her 5th child.
Yes, and so we needed a larger house.
There's that train again.
And many, many times I would lay in my bed in this house and count the cars on the train.
Count the cars on the train.
Yes.
You're not counting those.
No, I'm not counting these. But
Did you like the sound of the train?
Yes, I did.
Lark Street.
Now this is Lark Street.
And there's your sister down there.
But she and I don't remember the exact things, but she's a mere child. She's 7 years younger.
Well,
than
sure,
I am.
a mere child.
I'm talking about you.
This is about you. I'll get over to the side. I don't know when they did this float on, but it was way after the 39.
But Joel, I'm sorry to tell you. I'm sorry to tell you about the rabbits, but the rabbits were in the back. Watch. Let me show you.
Let me tell you something.
Let me show you.
So let me go get them. Let me tell you something.
Yeah. Okay, but let me tell you.
You all just talk. No, you all just talk.
No, I'm disputing what she remembers.
Well, that's okay.
No, that house, see where the meter is?
Yeah.
That house ended right there.
Yeah.
And they've added that room.
Yeah.
Our garage was within maybe 4 feet from the back of that house. And Daddy's rabbits were in back of the garage.
When they were
Along the
stolen, they were
fence.
along the fence.
Along the fence in the back.
In the front.
I wish Pauline and Lorraine were here.
Well, and Jim, we could call Jim real fast. Henry would. No, Don would.
No, Jim would, I bet. Oh, I can tell you where the garage is started. Look at the blacktop. Where does it end? Right
to the
there.
garage?
No, right there at that gate. Right there, and that garage has been
But it
torn.
wasn't blacktop then, just gravel.
Yeah, gravel.
Way back then.
But I'm almost sure the rabbits were back. Along the fence and back.
Along the fence in the back.
I'm going to ask Jim.
Okay.
I think he would remember, because he isn't that much younger than me.
But
He's
I
2
think
years.
what it was, when they came in, he may have had them in the back at one time, maybe put them back there after they were stolen. Because
Uh-huh.
they came in the driveway and they were over in that pond. Remember, half of them were drowned.
What pond?
Mrs. What's her name, had a little wading pool back in the back of her house.
You mean the lady that lived next door to us?
Not this one, across the alley.
Oh, across the alley. Bentley?
I don't think it was Miss Bentley. It
Mrs.
was
Short?
I don't
Car.
remember.
I like this tree.
Come this way just a little bit.
Oh, two-story wash house isn't there.
No, I know it's gone. But our garage, see where the divide right there?
Uh-huh.
Our garage was where the door was to the garage, right there where that middle grass comes up.
Yeah.
Because we only had a short distance from the garage to talk to C.R. Wilson.
Yeah.
And this house has been extended beyond where that meter is. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that's the was the end of the house, and we would stand there at the fence, but the garage was
I remember
right
Gloria
there.
Swanson lived there.
Yeah. I said C.R. No, that's who I'm talking about. C.R. Swanson. Or no, what was his name? He was a basketball player. Swanson.
And didn't the Kleins live
Kleins
there?
lived there, and
I don't remember
friends of
them.
ours lived over here. The Blankenships lived here.
Remember what's his name that always got here and argued with Daddy? About in politics, he'd do it just for meanness.
I can't remember.
Blue Bomb.
Oh, Mr. Bluebond. Yeah, he lived right here, and it's gone. That house is gone.
Everything that I remember basically is gone except the two houses there and that one on the corner.
And see who lived there?
I remember.
Oh, I do. Let me think. It was a real nice lady that would come up and see us. With me, I'm not remembering, but
But the
it's-
rabbits were in the back.
The rabbits were in the back. The rabbit cages, they were up on stilts.
Yeah, they were up on stilts, poop underneath them.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a tray in there.
Yeah,
You said that the rabbits were in the front, and she said that they were in the back.
No, she says they're in the front, and I said they were in the back.
Oh,
They were
okay.
right along this fence, and some people came one night, and Daddy raised real expensive rabbits.
Yeah.
And some people came and stole
Stole
all of
them.
his expensive rabbits, and they'd all had babies, and the babies were turned loose, and most of them Daddy found in that little pond.
But let me tell you, Brian, see where that blacktop ends there? And we didn't have a blacktop. It was,
Gravel.
it was, there were,
Baby brick.
there were 2 cement strips for the,
I don't remember that.
but we never had a car back there. Anyway, the garage was up this way, a full length of the garage is back there, and the rabbits were in the back. I'm going to ask Jim.
Okay.
Jim's got a good memory. And see, where did the Childress live? They lived down.
Children's lives across the street over yonder.
No, oh, at one time, they said, was it Childress that lived down here? Yeah, I know they lived across the street. Then they lived over on
Next to us over
next to
there.
us but I think she used to live down here on this street, on this side somewhere.
May have, I don't remember that.
Oh, we're not walking that far. We're going to go back. But our house looks pretty good, doesn't it?
But see, Daddy's one that built that big long room there.
Yeah. And see, that was before the flood.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it hadn't been
so
built too
sad.
long before the flood, because the flood destroyed it all.
It was, we hadn't even lived in it yet. It hadn't been papered or decorated or anything. It had just the drywall. And he had to poke holes in the drywall to let the water come down. But it was wonderful.
You told him it was a foot upstairs
Yeah.
in that room.
Yeah, and he put the kitchen cabinet up on the landing, going as you turned them, and it fell back down the steps, and my piano was on the back porch, and it was destroyed. Then so Mother bought a new one, probably. I think she bought it right after. She didn't buy it, I don't think, at this house. She probably bought it over at the
What
other
number?
house. In 39, I bet. But both little houses are taken care of, aren't they?
I'm glad to see. Hi.
We used to live in these houses.
We're reminiscing.
Oh.
He's doing a video of us arguing.
Which house did you live in?
Both of these.
Up that way?
Yeah, this one and that one.
Oh,
And our dad built that big room on the side.
is that
The
right?
porch used to be an L shape.
Well, oh, how interesting.
So we're reminiscing.
You made the movie, by the way.
Pardon?
You made it on the movie.
Oh, did I?
Oh, we should have asked her who lives here.
Huh?
We should have asked her who's living in it.
See, the Constance lived there.
Yeah, I
Jenny
know, but they're both dead, aren't they?
Yeah. And
Ernest and
Ernest and Jenny.
Jenny.
Then they had one daughter. I can't think of her name. I see her at the funeral home every once in a while.
And Brian, and you don't have to take this. Daddy had roses all along this fence. Well, you could walk on both sides of it.
Uh-huh.
There was a path where he had roses everywhere. And of course, peach trees, grape arbors,
Yeah. The grape harbor went from the back porch all the way out to the gate.
and also it had another one near this garage that we had, and we had red and white and blue grapes.
Look at that little tiny pig back yonder.
Oh, isn't he cute?
Because I
That's
remember
that's a kitty.
when, don't take this either, when, when Mother was in labor with Jean, their bedroom was right over there.
Yeah.
And Daddy had all of us out back playing volleyball across the grape harbor while the doctor's in there delivering Jean so that we wouldn't know what was going on.
Oh.
And Jean, when Jean was born, Daddy came out and hollered at me first, and he brought me into Mother's room and put this little bundle in my arms and told me that the doctor had brought me a little sister. And I looked at Dr. Burke and I said, "Where did you get her?" And he said, "I brought her in this black bag." And I said, "Oh, she couldn't breathe." I can remember that so
I
plain.
remember that story.
And he said, "Oh, there's holes around the top so that she can breathe."
Oh my.
And let me tell you, I believed that.
You should have taped it. That's
No, I believed that till I was in probably first year of high school. And Lita Joe Childress, we always played on the Reservoir Hill.
Yeah.
And we were up on the hill, and Lee Joe was telling me where babies came from.
And you said no.
And I said, there is no way that these babies are in my mother's stomach. And she said, well, where do you think they come from? And I told her what Dr. Burke told me. He brings them in black bags.
That's a good story.
Big black leather bag. And so she said, I can't believe you're so dumb.
There's the mom.
Car.
And we would beg Mother during those 2 or 3 hours just to go ahead and spank us, let us get up, and she wouldn't do it.
No, you had to wait till Daddy got home.
And when Daddy would come home, he never spanked us, and that made her mad. And because we were supposed to get a spanking when he,
Yeah. He talked, he lectured.
and he just sat there with his arm around your shoulder talking to you. That Mother didn't feel good, and that was. And Daddy said that would be the last flood we lived in.
Well, Mother wasn't going to live there either.
Yeah.
But our dad went in that house and hosed it down, and it was 1 foot in the upstairs. And he built a raft and was going to try to move all of the furniture from the upstairs of our house over to dry land.
Well, he moved a lot
I know he did,
in a
but it was,
in a little rowboat.
and they were going to charge him $1,000 to move the piano to dry land, and he couldn't afford. I don't know whether the piano
Well, he
would
moved
cost.
as much furniture in that little rowboat that he could over to Miss Childress.
But I thought it was something that he actually built.
I don't know.
I can't remember, but I thought of it as
He was
a
moving furniture in the
flat.
rowboat?
Yes,
Him and
not
another
a
man.
little rowboat, but enough to put furniture and stuff in it.
And they've worked one whole day moving furniture from here over. They didn't think it was even going to get up in the house.
I know.
Can you remember
Do you
all
remember?
of us on the back porch with a broom trying to sweep the water out of the house?
Yeah.
Before it could get in, we thought we could sweep it off.
Oh no, I don't remember that, but I remember
We'd send her-
we had to
Pauline, I
leave by
think.
boats.
Yeah, Pauline and Lorraine, and I guess it was me. I was thinking it was you out there with, and there were 3 of us out there with brooms, and we were crying and trying to keep the water out of the house. We didn't want that water in our house.
But
But then
we-
Uncle George came over there.
Uncle George was yelling,
Side outwards.
"High side outwards, clear over there." fence.
We had pear
Yes, we
trees.
did.
Yeah, we had. 'Cause we
Were they
allowed
cherry
outside,
trees
so
or
they were pear trees?
pear trees? But didn't we have a cherry tree too?
I don't remember.
Because-
cherry trees over there.
Okay.
And apple tree out back.
We actually, one night, when Pauline and Lorena and I were sleeping in this front bedroom, we opened up the window
And got out on
and
the porch.
climbed out on the porch, and I thought we were picking cherries, but you think it was
There was
pears.
a big pear tree right there.
Yeah, but it seems to me
Because
there were
Mrs.
two.
Lambert would grab everyone that fell off her
On her
yard.
side of the yard, she kept. No, and isn't it funny? I remember a cherry tree, but I guess the cherry
There was like 8 cherry trees over there.
over in the other house. But
So
I remember
your
us-
yard used to be a lot bigger.
Yeah, I thought it seemed much bigger than this. Well, we had a big tree here in the front. So our fence must have been clear out here.
It was probably out here farther.
Because we had a fence around it completely. But it seems so much smaller than it used to be.
Because we were little and it looked big.
Yeah, I know that. That's the reason.
But for some reason or other, I can't believe that her house is this far apart.
I remember it being far
I
apart.
thought it was real close because she was always snooping, or so Mother said.
Yeah, some others.
Remember how we used to have to hang up the laundry?
Yes. Mother would never allow us to hang any bras or panties on the
Where anybody
outside
could see
lines.
it.
They had to be in between the
Sheets
sheets.
and towels. Sheets on one line, towels here, and undies in the middle.
Why? What would happen if somebody saw your underwear?
She just never wanted anyone to see any of our underwear
In between the sheets.
in between the
Especially
sheets.
the little lady next door.
Especially the little lady next door.
Maybe we didn't have very good underwear. I don't know.
Oh no, it
will-
wasn't that. She just was very particular about her underclothes being shown, people to see it. But I sure do like the looks of our houses, don't you, Brian?
Beautiful. After all these years,
After all these years,
just like you
But
ladies.
I'm just glad that people that have bought them have taken care of
I
them.
do too. I'm glad too. Okay, go up on the hill. I'm glad you can cut some of this stuff out that isn't too good.
Oh no, this is all going to be, on the final product.
And I can't remember who lived in all of these houses. I remember, let me think.
Been too
I was
long
trying to
ago.
think who lived in that house right there. And then this road right here went all the way down to the river. I've got a picture of Hermely Wheeler
see,
and I
this-
standing right there.
This train track wasn't where it is right now. either.
Okay, let's see if you can get down this alley right here. Right here.
Oh, right here.
Now, can it go down?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. And let me tell you, Brian, right here, one day the city was digging a big trench here to put in probably tile and something. And I was running and didn't realize that they didn't have a sign up. And I fell and landed in the ditch with between my knees and my hips. And when I got up, I couldn't walk. I hit them so hard, and the city was really worried that I probably,
You were going to sue him.
yeah, I'm going to sue them. But of course, we didn't. But this is the alley we would walk
Countless hours.
countless hours. Say, there's our house. Oh, the kitty's not going to move. And Bentley's lived here. and Mrs. Wright lived in this house, didn't she?
Uh-huh.
But it doesn't look like the same house.
And there's a 2-story wash house right here where Mother did all of her washing and canning.
Yeah. Well, it was our summer kitchen. Now, down here at the end, we would turn to the right, and that's where the Baptist church was. It
Free
is.
Will it's
There
Free
it
Will
is.
Baptist,
Free
but they're
Will,
the Baptists
but it
that
wasn't-
do a lot of shouting.
Yeah, but when we were here, it wasn't. Now turn. Can you turn this way?
I don't remember ever going there.
Oh yes, you had to.
No,
But
we went to
you
the
don't
white
re-
church down the other corner, honey.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have a car, and we started to church right here in this church, and Eloise Runyon lived right here.
Yeah, Eloise once came up one day, was eating an apple and had a worm on her tongue, was showing us how she was going to eat that worm.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Now turn right here, Brian.
Okay.
Yeah, back.
Now she came
This
knocked
is
on the
Valley.
door.
This is Valley Street.
She knocked on the
Whoa.
door and showed the worm to Mother.
Had it on in her mouth.
Let me see. Where did? Let me think. What their names were. They lived either in one of these houses.
This house back here is where Mrs. Clark lived, our teacher.
No, let me think.
That
Where's
insisted-
Mrs.
Right here was Mrs.
Is this Mrs. Wright?
Uh-huh.
And this was Blankenship, or not Bentley. Then it had to be right
And
there.
right here
Let me
is,
think.
where
They had a
Childress
baby.
lived.
They had a baby that died, but it was probably mongoloid or. And you see who lived there. And this was always.
That's where Kirk, what's his name, Earl Dameron lived.
Yeah, and this was all. No house was right there. That was just the hill.
Now you can turn back to the left.
Now we're on 36. Now, yeah, this house wasn't here, but that house was.
Now,
We walked down that alley all the way over here to,
slow
Would
down
be
right
this.
here, Brian.
no, it wouldn't be
Now,
Oakland
Loretta?
Avenue. Yeah,
The church we went to sat right up there
Yeah.
on the corner on the other side of
yeah.
Caldwell's Market.
Uh-huh.
That's the only one I remember.
Oh, do you? Well, I remember that first church, but the only reason we went there was because we could walk. We didn't have, and we were little, so they could walk us down the
Now
alley,
you can go
cross the
straight
alley.
on.
Yeah, straight.
Used to be a
And
big
this wasn't
culvert
here.
right here. Remember that?
Yeah, and it's gone.
Uh-huh.
Good grief.
They filled it in.
Okay, and I had friends that lived down this street, right here.
None of this was what it used to be.
No, it sure isn't. Used to be a grocery store right over here.
Now you turn back to the right here.
Okay.
And that's Cemetery Road.
Uh-huh. That's where the cemetery is right up
Uh-huh. And of course, Martha Davis and all those gals lived up here on Louisa Road.
there. Uh-huh.
I've been going through pictures for Brian.
But you know, all this, the beautiful big homes that used to be right along there where that bank built.
Yeah.
They were always such, I thought they were rich people that lived in those homes.
Well, he was the guy that lived in the brick house right here, and they had the daughter that probably had polio or something when she was in a wheelchair.
Uh-huh.
He's the one that sponsored me for the Miss, I forget now what it was called, but it was a lead up to being Miss America, or Miss Kentucky, I should say. Yeah, there was a beautiful house right here. Once you stay in the center
Now,
lane,
get
because
over
we're
here
going
in
to
this
turn.
other lane.
You're going to have him turn here. Brian, you remember that we didn't have this room right back here, don't you? Remember there was
Yeah.
this big open porch.
Mm-hmm.
And the old chicken house is still back up there too. And see, when we first moved over here, there was a big creek ran out of the back, in behind and all the way down to the corner here. And the creek was so clean because hardly anybody lived up this hollow. When they started building up there, they started dumping their sewer in it. They may have already moved out.
You think they have?
I don't know.
And now that right there was there. Pauline.
Yeah, Pauline them built that.
Yeah. But
I bet you they have moved
But
out.
I think it is very attractive.
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember when the fence came clear out.
Yeah.
Out here.
And see, I've got pictures of Jewel and Fred standing at
And-
big double gates right.
When we first moved over here, it had walnut trees all the way around it.
There's still one.
Had 2 maple trees. Well, there's another one out back. The other one back there by the creek.
Uh-huh.
See right
Yeah, I
back
see
here?
it. You can see the land.
Betsy Roberts, Betsy Robinson's home. The only one seen was my age, and Betsy was Jean.
I kind of remember. No, I think it's good. What's that thing on the door there?
It's more stately looking now. It's probably one of those things that your real estate people pay on. Or
They
they
did-
bought it from, and he built a big barn on it. And then they decided to build a house out there, so.
Uh-huh.
that's-
But it is, it's, I mean, it looks like it's worth 250,000. No. But, see, I bought my own house for 19,000 and it's worth over 125,000. Yeah, I know what it,
Over 300.
yeah.
Can you believe that?
You mean 300,000?
Yeah, 300.
Okay, if you could, Grandma, tell us where we're at now.
We're at 3330 Spring Street.
3330.
That's what I said. Oh, 3330 Spring Street in Catlettsburg, where I lived when I was a teenager until I moved to Columbus in 1942.
Right here, 1942. You moved out.
Yes. I moved. I left. I didn't move. I mean, my parents didn't move out.
You moved out
I left and went to Columbus.
for bigger and better things, right?
I thought.
Well, I wouldn't be here today if you hadn't done that.
I
So,
know.
so I appreciate that.
And I was working with during the war in
There was a war.
government jobs.
Said there
Did you
was.
see
the-
where that found that soldier on top of that mountain
Yes,
frozen?
yes. I hope it's the
Those three sisters.
three sisters from Ohio.
So during the war, you moved.
Yes, in 1942 in September. I think it was about the 16th of September. I've got it written on a picture as I'm walking down the street.
Now, was that a posed photograph? Did
No,
they say there goes
no,
Loretta?
No,
We better get our picture.
It's from
or
my back. I'm walking.
and somebody ran out and snapped the picture of you leaving Kentucky.
Yes. And I was with my sister Lorene and I think Wilma, my cousin. Wilma, it said Wilma and me and Mildred.
Now, why Columbus? Why Ohio?
My friend Gail, who I went to business college with, had an aunt in Columbus. We had taken civil service tests and passed them, and we were able to get a civil service job in Columbus.
So you left this place behind.
Yes, I moved to the big city.
Wow.
And we didn't want her to go.
That was a sad day, wasn't it?
And Mother always said, "Why did I ever let her go?"
Yeah.
But you know why she did? Gail was a teacher, and teachers were next to ministers. Teachers didn't do anything wrong, ever. Oh, has that changed?
Now grandmas are regarded as people that
Next.
don't do anything wrong.
Of course.
Well, what else? What else happened at this place? Any?
Yeah, let's get
This
a
is where we
pic-
had our family reunion every year. I
Yeah.
remember that.
Let's get a picture of the spring as it is now. Because I've got pictures of it when Daddy took care of it, right up here.
That was, oh, they filled it in.
That is sad.
That was such good
But
water.
you can tell there's still water. Do you know it? Look at the moisture.
Yeah.
Suppose I could walk back there.
Is that big seat still there on the side here? Is that grown over with vines?
It's got the vines over it. But see the moisture in there?
Uh-huh.
But you know what they've been dumping their grass in there. No, that is sad. Isn't it?
Yeah, I think so, because to us, the spring was what made our home.
Well,
Coming out here, cutting grass, coming out here and leaning over and slurping up water.
well, Daddy always cleaned it out.
Yeah.
Every year.
It was good. He had the water tested all the time. That looks like a hickory nut tree.
Too bad we don't have the money to buy it, Jewel.
Huh?
Too bad we don't have the money to buy it. I don't think that's a hickory nut, do you?
Look,
Huh.
chestnuts.
Oh, it is?
There's two of them. Sticky.
Oh my gosh. Ouch. Ow!
What is that, Grandma?
It's a chestnut. See, can you see the chestnuts in there?
Yes.
Oh, put your hand out here.
Ow.
Isn't it sticky? It's like a porcupine. Certainly can't hold it in your hand. Are you getting another one?
I don't think it will.
Ow!
This one's too sticky.
You can cut out what you don't want in there, can't you?
Oh yes. You'll help me edit it.
Okay. Of course, you might want to keep something that I don't.
Well.
Let's walk on back here with her. Somebody's been here recently. There's boots on them.
Or they may still be here, I don't know. See, there's two more walnut trees. Over at one of John's home.
John still lives back there.
Yeah.
Well, he's added on to that.
Remember when the Wellmans lived across the street there
Yeah.
and they paddle up on that hill?
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember that. Is the house still up on the hill where?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess what's the man still lives up there.
Who?
Spears, Lolly Spears.
Oh, that's Lolly?
Well, that's where they live.
Bill died, didn't he?
Yeah. And I'm sure she probably still lives up there.
Now, I had forgotten that Lolly lived up there.
How about that?
I remember we had some good kickball games in that yard
Yeah.
Yeah.
during family reunions.
And you know, I don't know whether it probably was built in. When we first bought it, there was a creek all the way down through the whole backyard.
And out to the corner of the street.
Yeah, and Daddy filled it all in and put big tile.
Well,
in
he
there.
wouldn't have if so many people started dumping their sewage.
Yeah.
It used to be
this-
such a beautiful
Who's the
clean.
people? Who's the people that own right next to it here?
The Bellas.
DeBellows. And they, what is the?
They owned a glass, had a glass factory
Glass
there.
factory.
Made those beautiful big globes with all the
And you know
flowers
what?
inside.
Like a big
Paperweight.
paperweight.
Yeah.
That will subtract from the value of this house.
Uh-huh.
That
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've.
And I guess what's his name still lives there, one of the sons. The one that was head over heels in love with me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He got drunk one day, hanging on the fence up here yelling for me.
Now, was that
Edgar was telling me about it.
was that the crazy one, Aunt Jewel?
I don't know. He must have been. I was
Somebody's phone
always
was
kind of
ringing.
afraid of him.
And see, Brian, Daddy built this whole back side of this house, the upstairs and the downstairs.
Mm-hmm. Boy, he could do it all.
Well, he could. Well, he was an electrician. He was a plumber. He could do it all. But I do like this addition here too.
Yeah.
Of course, it
Made
certainly.
it really nice for them.
Oh yeah. Of course,
They've got a big fireplace.
I spent many an hour in that one room right off from the kitchen, ironing.
Uh-huh. The cold room, as we call it.
Yes. Aren't these things sticky? I don't know how you are able to hold that.
Look here, Adam broken out.
I was just walking,
Well, show me again. Go ahead.
just like this. I think had stopped and somebody was leaning over a little bit. He's duplicating my leaving for Columbus. That's it. Do you know what's in back of that middle window up there, Brian?
Refresh my memory.
A bathroom. That middle window is the bathroom. Look at Mother's money plants. I still have some money plant seeds. I don't have them yet. I Or did I just think
No.
that? I thought it
because
was.
of
It
the
was Spring
spring.
Street.
when I think of how beautiful it was, and we had a pond out in front of it full of goldfish,
Yeah.
and a little walkway back to the spring.
Yeah. Well, when Daddy had the greenhouse out over it, and he would
Well,
always
see,
put.
Jack DeBella killed all of our goldfish while we were gone one year.
Oh, really?
And after that's when he filled the pond in. Said there wasn't any point in fixing it back. Somebody had just
Do the same
do
thing.
the same thing. And later when Jack got drunk, he told Edgar that he killed all the fish because I wasn't paying attention to him.
You're kidding.
The truth was revealed.
Yeah.
How about? How long ago did they tear down the school?
Oh, it's been
Go
gone.
back in there a little bit.
It's been gone a long time, Laura.
Has it really?
Uh-huh.
Huh.
I really couldn't
They've
tell
actually
you
cut
when.
down the.
Was it called Catlettsburg Elementary?
Yeah, Catlettsburg Elementary.
Well, this is Catlettsburg Elementary.
No, it actually was called First Ward.
And it was called
And then
the
Hatfield.
Hatfield School.
Mrs. Hatfield was the first grade teacher.
For many,
And-
many years.
And so the school was eventually named after Mrs.
Well,
Hatfield.
I guess she
but
taught
it's set
every
back
one of us.
here. Oh, I know she did. But this is all new back here, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Uh-huh.
What is it now back here?
That's probably just the kindergarten there. Where they've got all this stuff here for little kids.
Yeah, I can see that it's. But I know we had to go up steps to get to the school.
To the school. This was all a football field.
Uh-huh.
And the bleachers were, they were concrete
Huh.
bleachers right in front of the grade school.
And you know what?
And we went to school there 1 through the 8th grade.
Maxine, I'm sure I think who my friend was that lived in the house, but it's not that house.
No, it's tore
Maxine,
down.
okay. Then the Snyders lived in the big house back there.
Yeah.
Annabelle and Kay and Charlie.
But I tell you.
But what was her name? Maxine Maynard.
Yeah.
Maxine Maynard lived right. And she was a friend of mine, and I spent a lot of time over there when Mother would let me stay.
Yeah.
Looks like we can only go out this way.
What are they building back here?
I don't
Jewel.
know what's going on over there.
But I'm surprised it's still an elementary, Catlettsburg Elementary.
Yeah, it's just like 1 through the 6th grade.
Yes, uh-huh.
Which way?
And they go out to Ward County for,
Which way do we get to the bridge? This way?
well, we're going to go back I-64.
Oh, okay.
Go turn
So-
right here.
Oh, turn right or left? Right,
Right.
out here. That's right. We're going to go where the boys are.
Are you
McCollum
through?
Construction Man. Yeah, I
Right.
think you're
Yeah,
finished with.
we got.
I mean, we're not in any hurry.
But you all can reminisce.
Yeah, see, it's just 3:25.
They used to, the kids from over in Canova, remember them holding their nose when we'd walk by?
Yes.
Because we
There's
smelled
the
like
cattle.
market right
barns.
down there.
They're still
We'd
there.
have to walk by it it goes way back. And we'd have to walk by it to go where we were going.
Mhm.
And they'd hold their nose and act like we smelled like the
Cattle.
stock market.
But do you remember how Mother would never allow us to? We had to come all the way down to this street and walk this way to school. I don't know whether she was that way. We couldn't go down and come under the railroad track and go to the corner and come up that way, which was actually shorter than coming all the way up here and then walking down. Did you have to do that?
Yeah, we all had to do that.
Uh-huh. Like we would walk up to this street right here, and then down to the school.
And you came across the street here rather than walk down the other side.
Yeah,
You came and walked across on the left side.
yeah. And, but now I can understand that, because if we were coming and going to school, at least they knew where to find us. Like, well, Daddy would meet us with umbrellas sometimes if it was raining. What football field is that?
And that's just like the Little League and that kind of
Oh, is it?
field, yeah.
And this used to be, what was Louisa Road, wasn't it? And it certainly isn't. Now it's 23. It wasn't, it was only, that was Louisa Road right there that we were
Used to
on. No,
be.
Court Street. Court Street, then it became what? Louisa Road?
Yeah.
Is it because it took this road to go to Louisa? You think? Why did they call it Louisa?
I don't have a clue unless it was on the way to Louisa.
That's what I was thinking.
I don't know how it got its name.
I would assume maybe that was the reason. But what is amazing, Jewel, just in the past year or two, I met that Loretta.
Now, right up here, you'll see the turn off to Huntington. You go on up, about up there where that truck's is sitting.
And you want to go over to the left.
So, yeah, you need to go in the left lane.
But Jody, the girl that works in the office at our church.
But we go on up to the next line.
Oh, we don't turn here?
Uh-uh.
Jody in our church, her mother is from Louisa, and that Loretta,
Left here.
yeah, this light, was from Louisa, knew Kathleen, went to school with Kathleen,
Uh-huh.
and there was a third person. Let me think, who was it? I can't remember now, but it was funny how all of a sudden I was meeting so many people that knew about Louisa, Kentucky.
I remember one time I went up and stayed 2 weeks with Uncle Roscoe, Mildred, you know, his daughter.
Yeah, there was a Pauline and Mildred and what was the oldest one's name?
Well, the one that died, what was her name?
Oh, that was oh, isn't that awful? I can't think of her name.
Somebody that mother begged her not to go with.
Well, it was Pauline's boyfriend.
Yeah,
But
she
Clyde.
wanted,
No, Clyde. It wasn't Clyde.
Clyde was the
Cecil.
younger one. Huh?
Cecil.
Yeah.
I can't even think of his last name now. But Pauline was dating Cecil, and then
They had TB.
yeah. What is her? We didn't know it at that time though.
Uh-huh.
What was her name? She was so pretty.
Uh-huh.
Norma.
Norman. Yeah, she was the prettiest one of the bunch.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, I went and stayed 2 weeks with them.
Uh-huh.
And Uncle Roscoe told us if we worked really hard, helped him get things done, we could go into Louisa and stay Saturday. Well, they knew what he said, but I didn't understand. It was, we had to walk into Louisa.
Oh.
We didn't have any transportation.
Another
But we
deer.
did it. And that was a long walk from their house
Oh,
up
I
in
know.
Busseyville. He'd give us maybe $1 a piece, and we could go walk into Louis after work, and then he's gardening all week and getting everything, cutting the grass and that kind of stuff.
Well, you have a lot of stories from that place, don't you?
Yeah.
Between those 3 houses.
Yes. But 7 years in age makes the difference of the stories we remember, or how we remember it, than the Jewel.
Yeah. See, you had already left home when Carl cut his arm so bad.
Yeah.
That was a scary day.
Oh, I can imagine.
And the only correspondence that you had was writing letters in the mail, wasn't
Yeah.
it? Did you write back home a lot?
Yeah. And I still even have some of the letters Mother's written to me. I didn't. They had a phone then, but you didn't telephone that much.
Because it was expensive, or?
I don't. Yeah, probably. Yeah, make a long distance phone call. It was probably the expense. It was just easier to put a 3-cent stamp on it. 3 cents.
3 cents for a stamp.
To mail a letter.
Well, if you didn't leave home, you wouldn't even have to slap that 3-cent stamp on.
Oh, I know.
You could have just lived a cozy life in
But I
Catlettsburg.
couldn't get a job there. I was working in a 10-cent store, making 25 cents an hour, and I got a raise. Guess what my raise was?
30 cents.
No, 26 cents.
26, a penny
Yeah.
an hour raise?
Yes. Penny an hour raise.
I
That
remember
was,
when I worked down there at 10-cent store there in Action.
yeah.
You worked 6 days a week, and during the week you worked 8 hours, but on Saturday you worked from 9 to 9.
Yeah.
And they gave you cash. You didn't get a check for your pay. And
It was
I
about
got
20.
all of $18.79.
Oh my goodness. I was thinking we got about $24, but no. And I did it before you did, so you
Yeah.
know I made even less.
And
Well,
my first
25 cents an
full
hour.
envelope had $18.79 in it.
And you were rich.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Well, when I went to Columbus, I was making $40 an hour, which I thought,
Not 40 an hour.
$40 a day. No, $40 a week. Sorry.
That sounds more right.
$40 an hour. Back,
$40 a
Oh.
week.
that you would have been
Rich.
really rich.
No, it was,
And she could have stayed at home and made the same kind of money, probably. Or maybe
No.
more, but you wouldn't have to pay rent.
no, it was $40 for a week's work.
How many girls was it that went?
Well, it was just Gail and I first. And there were other girls there.